Hmm.
So let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Tony Kamala, thank you for the warm welcome. And let me just say, it's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor.
Hey guys, Kamala Harris is speaking right now, actually. So I'm watching. We're now doing a live Watch Kamala party. That wasn't the plan, but she's speaking like literally right now. Kamala Harris is introducing Tim Walz, her vice president pick. And she just started talking a minute ago, so let's do a watch party. And Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, spoke first. Amazing. They're in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The governor of Pennsylvania, who was on the short list for VP, spoke. He does talk like Obama, and he's really good.
I am so invested in our friendship in doing this together because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania.
I don't think we've seen Kamala Harris speak since Biden announced he was stepping down. Oh, ha. Did you, Jordan? That's funny. Maybe mods, if you want to occasionally remind people on TikTok, especially, that we're doing a Kamala watch party since she's speaking right now. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Kamala Harris is speaking right now. She's going to be introducing her vice president pick, Tim Walz. TikTok gets upset when I show you the TV, so I'm not going to. They get a little weird about it. So yeah, Kamala Harris last night became the official Democratic nominee, or presumptive. She won the vote. Actually, I think she became the official nominee. Actually, last night she won the vote she needed. Hello, you.
We need to move to the general election and win that. And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race. But we have the momentum, and I know exactly what we are up against.
Relax. What do you want? My dog is whining at me to play because I'm facing her direction.
Now, many of you know, before I was elected vice president,
watching. Actually, I may be able to put it. This way. Let's see.
Attorney General before that elected district attorney.
YouTube, I don't think gets as weird about it. It depends. TikTok might, but I'm going to stay in the picture on TikTok.
So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
She's talking about taking on perpetrators as a prosecutor. Woo. Predators who abused women. Fraudsters. These are all things Trump did.
Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
She's good. She's taking it to Trump pretty tough, which is interesting. Yeah, very interesting. Oh, Sasha wants more water too. One sec.
So let me say, hold on. This campaign, our campaign,
I'm back.
is not.
But she's taking it to Trump pretty strongly.
Our campaign future.
I want to hear Walz because he's the one who's going to be interesting because he's a very good speaker, very tough on the Republicans, and very interesting to see what he says here. The energy thing is interesting. I saw somebody mention the energy on TikTok, or Young is mentioning the energy on TikTok. The CNN hosts were saying a couple minutes ago that the energy in this crowd waiting for Kamala Harris, they have not seen this kind of energy for someone before the convention, because the convention isn't for another 3 weeks, since Barack Obama. That Obama in 2008 was the last time we had this much energy coming out of Democrats before their convention. Biden certainly did not get these kind of rallies. Hillary did well. I mean, Hillary had good rallies once she was going as the candidate, but also Hillary was not a motivational speaker. This is interestingly enough, Democrats have not had this kind of energy, really. Well, thanks, Mel's. Appreciate it. That's funny. Yeah. Joshua says Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. Very true. And if Democrats don't fall in love, they're trouble. Yeah. Oh, you just registered, Young. Oh, wow. You are young. You are young. I didn't realize. That's interesting. Okay. I always forget that on TikTok, we actually do get young people. I feel like all of us took it over. And of course she's reading user 1234. Literally, I mean, I know you're probably a troll, but like literally every speech that presidential candidates give is a read speech. Donald Trump, however, is horrible at it. You can always tell because he reads speeches like this, unless he goes on a tangent about sharks and car batteries. Then he's telling the truth. Whenever Trump kind of goes crazy and says stupid stuff, he's not reading. Whenever Trump puts together a coherent sentence, he's reading it, and you can tell because he reads like this. She's reading like seeing literally every presidential candidate does. Yeah, not a big surprise. But I'm dying to see him speak. Walz, who's her vice president nominee. He's a very good speaker, very good, tough on him, on Trump and everything. Very charismatic, very grandpa or dad vibes, depending on your taste. I have lots of notes about him that we're going to talk about in a bit, but since literally they just started talking, I figured we might as well watch,
Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is a dad. To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz.
Oops, I'm going to get a picture to text a friend. Biden is not there. No, I'm sure it wouldn't be appropriate for Biden to be there. He may show up at campaign events, but not right now. I'm in Washington, D.C. We're not a state. We don't have full federal rights.
To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz.
Oops.
And to his former high school football players, he was coach. And in 91 days, the nation will know Coach Walz.
I'm on YouTube. You just don't see me because you don't see me, but it's there. I support her, and I think we should vote against fascists always, but I also do support her. Yeah, I think she's good. I've always thought she was good. I like Pete Buttigieg more than her. I thought Biden was the best candidate to win in 2000, but I always thought she was good. I thought she needed a little more experience because sometimes during debates and stuff or on being interviewed, she'd get flustered, which you can't do as a presidential candidate. But I've always liked her. Smart, personable. I mean, very smart, knows the issues, good personality, friendly. They make fun of her for being friendly, but it's nice. Like, I'd like to meet her. I'd like to sit down with her. Right? I don't feel that way. George Bush, I feel that way. Oops. Oh.
When Coach Walz and his wife Gwen moved from his native Nebraska to Minnesota nearly 30 years ago, they both took jobs at the local high school.
I just can't believe they had to start this at 6 o'clock. Right? 6 o'clock. They started this in the middle of our show. So we're going to watch. So.
After school, Tim was the linebackers coach for the football team. Where I've heard the stories about he had a knack for using the game of football to teach life lessons. He saw the potential in kids who sometimes didn't see it themselves.
I don't know which way is better. I don't know. May not be any better for you guys. I may be blocking anyway.
Under those Friday night lights, Coach Walz motivated his players to believe they could achieve anything. And together, they defied the odds, hear this out, going from a winless record to the school's first ever state championship.
One thing I like about her, and again, the Republicans try to make this bad, she always looks like she's enjoying herself. I like that she smiles and laughs and stuff. I mean, maybe it's too much. I don't know. But I've always sort of liked this, She announced the vice president earlier today, Darcia. This is introducing him. So he's with her, and she's speaking for the first time since Biden stepped down. And this is his first chance as the nominee, so to speak, to come forward as well. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Nicolette.
Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance. At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved.
She's good. No, she's always good. She's a good speaker.
So he signed up to be the group's faculty advisor. And as students have said, he made this school a safe place for everybody. In the high school yearbook, the students voted Coach Walz the, quote, most inspiring faculty member.
I kind of want to hear him speak and not her at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
but the kind of teacher and mentor that every child in America dreams of having, and that every kid deserves.
But it's important for her too because she's not spoken publicly, I think, before since Biden announced he was stepping down 2 weeks ago. Pretty sure. Oops.
Who makes people feel like they belong and that inspires them to dream big. And that's the kind of vice president he will be. and he served 12 years in Congress, representing a purple district as he reached across the aisle to get things done. He was the highest ranking enlisted man to ever serve in the United States Congress.
Are we having fun with the mods on TikTok? Actually predicted. Well, the only thing is she has not spoken since Biden announced he was stepping down. So this is also her presenting herself to the country. But I also would agree with you at this point. I kind of want to hear him, you know. Did she speak in Atlanta? I don't remember her actually. I mean, I guess that's not true. I guess you're right. Has she been doing campaign events? Has she been doing campaign events? I don't even, was she in Atlanta? Okay, I didn't remember because I've not seen her speaking, you know? Okay, Atlanta. Okay.
To protect the freedom of workers to join the union. And he cast one of the critical votes to pass the Affordable Care Act. Which, of course, gave health insurance to tens of millions of Americans. I'm going to tell you, when we win, Tim and I will continue to make the Affordable Care Act even stronger. Let's talk about what we're dealing with on the other side. So on that last topic, if Donald Trump gets a chance, he will end the Affordable Care Act.
True.
And take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Do you remember what that was like?
Dog, it's not raining.
Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Well, Governor Walz and I will not let that happen.
I mean, she's right on this account. Trump tried to repeal Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, which is pretty much the only way I'm able to get insurance because they wouldn't insure me otherwise.
Privilege for those who can afford it. As governor, Tim has continued to fight for working families. He secured paid leave for workers in Minnesota. And he refused as governor to allow any student in their public schools to go hungry. So he made school breakfast and lunch free for every child.
Everyone in the audience was given a bracelet that blinks red, white, and blue, which are the American flag colors. Just FYI.
And Tim Walz and I, we agreed about many things, including when our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Oh my God, dog.
The middle class will be my
One moment.
defining goal as I am president of the United States. So Pennsylvania, ours is a fight for the future of the middle class, and it is a fight for freedom. In this moment, we are witnessing a full-on attack against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. Take reproductive freedom. Now think about this. Donald Trump said he wants to punish women. And as a result of his actions, today in America, 1 out of 3 women live in a state with a Trump abortion ban. 1 out of 3. Some of these bans go back to the 1800s.
back.
Think about that.
I'm back.
Well, Tim and I have a message for Trump and others who want to turn back the clock on our fundamental freedoms. We're not going back.
I mean, she is and she's not speaking to the choir because CNN is broadcasting this live to the entire country. So, you know what I mean? Lots of people are seeing this who might be in the middle.
And so let me say about Tim Walz.
I do want to hear him speak, though. I'm like, okay.
These attacks long before he stood on the stage with me. After Roe was overturned, he was the first governor in the country to sign a new law that enshrined reproductive freedom as a fundamental right.
All right. See, now she mentioned Roe was overturned. Did I miss it, or did she explain what Roe is? Because I worry about stuff like this, like regular Americans, they hear Roe and go, "What's Roe? What do you mean it was overturned?" Right? Rather than the Supreme Court ruling that guaranteed a federal constitutional right for women, blah blah blah. Right? And by the way, I do agree about the speech being short. I've always felt that way. State of the Union too. It goes an hour long. I think honestly, make it 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Make it short and boom and positive and whatever, and that's it, right? But that's me.
As governor, he signed the most significant expansion of voting rights in Minnesota in over 50 years.
I mean, I'm guessing, you know, they feel like they've got to really go long to give all the, oh, we're going to, yeah, afterwards, we're going to do a real show. Yep. But she just happened to literally schedule this when my show was starting. Like the very minute my show was starting, she went live. So I was like, okay, I guess we're going to watch. Because I really want to hear Walz speak. Obviously, that's the big, he's very good.
So Tim is a hunter and a gun owner who believes, as the majority of gun owners do, that we need reasonable gun safety laws in America. So as governor, he expanded background checks and increased penalties for illegal firearms sales.
And this is interesting because he's been a lifelong gun owner, used to have an A rating from the NRA, which is the big pro-gun lobby. But since the school shootings we had, he's become a big proponent of gun control as well, which is interesting. Thanks, Carol. Yes, it's this. I've got a number of them, but this is like the really big, nice one is this one here. This is like 35 years old, probably. Come on.
He really does shine a light on a brighter future that we can build together. In his state, he has been a model chief executive, and with his experience,
I just don't quite know how it goes with how long these speeches should be, because I do like short speeches. You know, I really do, but I like short meetings too. I just never know whether this is I don't know. You know, 45-year-old. Oh wow, that's neat, Vicky. Huh?
In fact, when you compare his resume. To Trump's running mate. Some might say it's like a matchup between the varsity team and the JV squad. So, Pennsylvania, ultimately in this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, a country of chaos, fear, and hate. And here's the beauty of our democracy. We each have the power to answer that question. We each have the power to answer that question. The power is with the people.
Yeah, so she's going for a good half hour. Yeah. And we'll see what I'm going to guess. I don't know. He could do 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Hard to say. You know, I'm in New York City. No, I'm not in New York City. I'm in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Kronos.
That is how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, you know, the promise of America is what makes it possible for two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother, the other a son of the Nebraska plains who grew up working on a farm. It's the promise of America, because only in America is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House.
Okay, I want to hear Tim. I want to hear Tim. Huge crowd, energetic crowd, both very good. They did say lots of people literally couldn't get in. CNN was saying this. Trump likes to pretend like people can't get in. Oh, we got thousands waiting. It's never true. CNN said there were a ton of people that could not be let in because there were so many people wanted to attend to this today, which is interesting. Again, sign of enthusiasm, which is good.
And we both believe in lifting people up, not knocking them down. He and I, we both know the vast majority of people in our country have so much more in common than what separates them. When we look at folks, we see in our fellow Americans neighbors, not enemies.
Hello, you.
Not enemies.
There you go. There you go. Okay. The dog is nervous. She thinks it's raining, but it's not.
And so my promise to you is this. Our campaign will reach out to everyone, from red states to blue states, from the heartland to the coast, in rural, urban, suburban, and tribal communities. We are running a campaign on behalf of all Americans. And when elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans. And so, with Tim Walz by my side, and with all of you at our side, let us fight for the promise of our future. And with that, I ask.
Okay, here we go.
Are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. And now,
There we go.
welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz.
Wow. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro. Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire? He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows when you need a bridge fix, call that guy. And I think sometimes we forget and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience, there is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him.
Oh, because they mentioned Jersey. I'm sure that's what they're booing.
And I can't wait for all of you in America to get
It has to be.
triple white win. A 29-year public school educator. Don't ever underestimate teachers. And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, Attorney General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States. Vice President Harris has fought on the side of the American people. She took on the predators, she took on the fraudsters, she took down the transnational gangs, she stood up against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated to reach across the aisle if it meant improving people's lives. And I want all of you to hold this and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy. I know a little something about that commitment to people. I was born in West Point, Nebraska. I lived in Butte, a small town of 400, where a community was a way of life. Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors, work for a common good. My dad served in the Army during the Korean War. With his encouragement, at 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves. And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education. My dad was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I followed in their footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. What we do. For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football.
It's very Americana, his background, which is good.
Including winning that state championship.
I mean, he was a high school football coach, military for 24 years, you know.
But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them, a commitment of common good, a belief that one person can make a difference. So in 2006, I took a leap and I ran for Congress. And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives. I'm proud of the work we did there together. I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values. Now, as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing our great state. Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
I'm going to be curious to see if he goes on the attack. He's doing a very measured presentation, which I'm sure they want him to do. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I was wondering about this. Here we go.
First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
See, he's well, she is too, but he's a very good attack dog, in part because he seems very nice, but he also can really go with the zingers.
You know, some of us are.
Oh, they're chanting "Lock him up" for Trump, which is the chant from the Trump rallies about Hillary.
Are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Which is a very Republican message from the old days, what he's saying right now. Sort of leave each other alone, government leave you alone. Thank you, Vic.
business. That feels good.
It's
So thank you.
interesting though. Yeah.
Look, that includes IVF. And this gets personal for me and my family.
Oh, IVF, in vitro fertilization.
I had children. We spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
There's been a whole controversy with Republican state of Alabama pretty much getting in vitro fertilization banned. Long story, but and other Republicans have been trying to cut back on it nationwide because embryos are fetuses, are babies, are people, so you can't get rid of extra embryos, etc. Now he's talking about school shootings.
By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in?
No.
Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms. To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago. Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs of a middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you, they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl.
He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country.
Oh, all right.
JD Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda. Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, JD studied at Yale. Had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
This feels like a political convention, practically. The dog is doing okay. She thinks it's going to rain. She's not very happy right now. Hold on.
That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So.
This is my dog right now. She's sitting in her bed, but standing up with her front feet, panting because she's scared. She thinks it's raining. Oh, you guys, a little hard for you guys to see. She thinks it's going to rain. Oh, I missed it. What did he say?
that I made. I just have to say it.
What was the couch joke? Oh shit, I missed the couch.
These guys are creepy and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
These guys are creepy and weird as hell. He's the one who created the weird reference. What was the couch comment?
So you know what?
Won't get off the couch and show up? Oh, that's good.
We aren't going back.
That's good.
We aren't going back. We are not going
There is a meme out there, a story that JD Vance used to with couches. He'd put a plastic. No, he didn't. We think from what we've heard, but it caught on as a story. So now everyone's like making fun of it, and they made fun of it.
My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead.
They say he wrote it in the book, but no one's been able to prove it to me yet.
Over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back. Every single day. And we'll have yours. You know how this works. We can't do it alone. We need you, each and every one of you.
It sounds like he's wrapping up.
Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Free to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you. My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back. She believes in the opportunity for every single person to join the middle class. She believes in the promise of America. We just gotta fight. We just gotta fight. Because as soon-to-be President Harris says, when we fight, we win! Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you,
Okay, he is finishing up.
God bless America.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, that was good. All right. All right. I'm going to turn that off so we can talk. Okay. Well, that was pretty good. So he talked for maybe 20 minutes. She talked for maybe half an hour. That seems to be what happened there. Welcome, everybody. This was not meant to be a watch party, but it turned into one. Kamala Harris was giving, well, at least one of her first speeches since, well, the first one since she became the nominee. She became the nominee last night. But one of the first since Biden stepped down. People said she was in Atlanta as well, which I didn't realize. And this was the introduction of Tim Walz as her vice presidential pick. They were good. I mean, look, I was going to start, but I don't want to start with the negative. I'll start with the positive. She is clearly very intelligent. She's a lawyer. She's a prosecutor. She's very smart. She speaks very well. I think she's got a very good, she's very personable. The Republicans try to turn it against her. You know, she laughs, this kind of stuff. But I think it's very endearing. It's very human. I like her. You could also tell, I forgot the way she used to sort of laugh as she's giving a speech, like when she's going after Trump, and she kind of laughs as she's going on, which I kind of enjoy. You know, it's possible. Let me put it this way. I've seen this side in her. She needs to present her more serious side as well. She did during the speech, but she just has to make sure that she's not always seen as laughing and jovial, right? And women, we've talked about this before, in America, Europeans were saying it's not the same in Europe. In America, women politicians always have this problem where if they're friendly and nice and whatever, they smile, they laugh, they're considered pushovers. They're weak. They can't defend America, this kind of stuff, right? But if they're strong and they're serious, then they're bitches. And I use the word on purpose because that's literally what it is. They're considered, as Trump calls them, nasty women. So you really can't sort of win. And in any case, like I said, I think her her friendly personality is excellent. She just needs to make sure she presents enough of the tough guy as well as the friendly. And I think that she'll do well. But I like her personality. Again, smart, friendly. I like that. He's great. If anything, I thought he was a little more reserved because I've been watching more of his videos. Like today, especially, I was watching sort of a lot of videos of him from before. And he's much folksier. Like he did this video at the state fair with his daughter, and it's very funny. And he's just much more, he's a dad. He tells dad jokes, basically. He's sitting with his daughter who's like 23, and they're talking about the state fair they're at. And he says, every year I take my family and we do something old and something new. And he goes, old is my choice this year. We're coming to this restaurant that's the old blah, blah, famous old Minnesota restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And my daughter is taking me for something new to some amusement park ride that he didn't know what it was. And later in the video, they show, and it's a slingshot. It's a terrifying, I mean, I love scary rides, terrifying ride, this thing. And it literally is, anyways, terrifying. But he's talking about the restaurant, and he says like, so we're going to go and get some burgers. And she goes, or something like hamburgers. I don't know what it was. And she goes, Dad, I'm a vegetarian. Okay, then we'll go get turkey. And she goes, still meat. And he goes, not in Minnesota. It was corn dogs. It was corn dogs. That was it. We're going to go get some corn dogs. No, we aren't. I'm vegetarian. Then we'll get turkey. No, Dad, still meat. He goes, not in Minnesota. It was just very funny. And just it was just very funny. The back and forth of it. He also was on CNN, very well sort of defending him. And the thing was interesting because what's interesting, like CNN, it wasn't scripted, right? And Jay Tapper was asking him and said, they call you liberal. They say you're a monster liberal, whatever it is. And he goes, monstrous. It's monstrous to feed children. It's monstrous to believe women have a right to do their own health decisions. And he kind of goes on and gave like 5 or 6 examples and just kind of laughed. He goes, if that makes me a monster, I accept it, or something like that. It was, and again, that was not scripted because it was an interview on CNN. He's very good. If anything, he was more restrictive here. He was holding back, which is fine because you're presenting yourself to the country. Maybe you don't want to be totally out there as you don't want to be totally funny either. So I think it was interesting. I think he did a good job. Again, I would have liked to see him more folksy or whatever. Like he was almost, for my taste, he was almost a little polished, which I'd like to see him less polished, right? He was almost too perfect. Now, again, he was great. I mean, I'd give him, this speech was a 95 out of 100 or something, right? 98 out of 100. So I don't want to knock it in that way. But I think in watching him in the other interviews or the other videos, he was first of all, he was probably nervous tonight, which you'd expect. No, he was good. He was good. What was interesting to me is that both of them hit pretty hard against Trump. Biden would try to do that, but not very well, right? Biden was is a terrible speaker. At least of the last 10 years, he's been a terrible speaker. And again, getting old did not help him with that. Harris is happy to go after Biden. That's a line she always uses. Hey, Misha, the line she always uses is, I'm a former prosecutor. I know felons. I know sex predators. I know fraudsters. I know Donald Trump, right? And it's like, woo. And she's willing to hit him on all of that, which Biden, I think Biden was too much a gentleman in some way. I mean, Biden was also too old to message well, but also too much of a gentleman in some ways. And she's not. Well, this is like the Lord of the Rings. No man can defeat me. I am not a man. Right? Thank you, Grumpy. Right? Biden's too much a gentleman. She is not a gentleman. She's a lady. So very interesting. And at the same time, she has to convince America that she can be commander in chief, that she can sit down with Vladimir Putin and be a hard ass. So to some degree, her being kind of nasty to Trump, to some degree is showing that harsher side of her, that prosecutorial side, which is important. The Margaret Thatcher side, right? I love Thatcher. I mean, Thatcher, obviously, I get her policies, whatever, right? But I loved her when she was in power. I was more conservative back then, but the demeanor, the strength. And what was funny too, is remember she had her little purse. I mean, she was like such a lady, her little purse and stuff, her little handbag, but she was so fucking tough. I mean, man. Anyway, yeah. So this is good. No, this was This is very good. And what's interesting is, as I said, CNN was saying earlier today that the CNN hosts were saying that the energy in this crowd waiting for her, they had not seen since Obama. And they said, sure, Hillary Clinton got crowds revved up or whatever. But they initially said, or they later said, certainly not before the convention, you never had this kind of energy. I would go one step further. I'm not convinced Hillary had this kind of energy. I think among some of you she did. Not for me. I liked Hillary, but I don't think Hillary had this kind of energy. Also, Hillary sucked at public speaking. I know, don't get mad at me. I love Hillary, but Hillary Clinton would do speeches like this, and she would yell and get staccato. And I was always like, oh my God, you've got a microphone. You don't have to yell. Just talk. Because she would do these I met her once in Capitol Hill. They did a blogger meeting with the Senate, and I talked to her for like 5 minutes. Loved her. Smart. Personable. I mean, I loved her, but speaking in front of an audience, she would get uncomfortable with a microphone. And you were just like, no. Whereas Kamala Harris does not. Kamala Harris is very comfortable publicly speaking and all of that, But I would say I really feel like I have not sensed this kind of energy since Obama. Really, Biden, forget it. Hillary had her fans, right? I mean, Hillary had her base that loved her, right? A lot of women did. I mean, right? So I accept that, but it wasn't this. This is interesting to me. And what's interesting is, little bit of a chicken and an egg thing, I think, in that some of the enthusiasm is for Kamala Harris. Some of the enthusiasm is, oh my God, we have a chance now because Biden isn't the nominee, right? Obama, it was Obama. I mean, Obama, I saw several of his speeches. Obama was crazy impressive. And I would say Obama was a better speaker than Kamala Harris. She's good, but Obama, she's not Barack Obama, right? Josh Shapiro is Barack Obama. He spoke earlier, the Pennsylvania governor. I see what they mean comparing him to Obama. He literally speaks like Obama, and very well. He's very good at it. She's no Obama, but I think with her, it's 50% excitement about her and 50%, maybe 60% excitement that Biden is not running. Democrats are not lost. The presidency is not lost, and she can beat the son of a bitch, right? That's my feeling of this. It's interesting because, but it's her too. I mean, because there is a positivity. This isn't what's interesting is this is not oh my God, we've got to defeat Trump. He's a monster. Democrats do think that, independents too, but this is positive. We can win this. This is exciting, right? It's a different energy than simply, oh my God, he's a monster. We have to defeat him, right? This is optimism. Okay, yeah, Jervis just said optimism. Exactly, it's optimistic. Very interesting, and I think ironically he helps. I mean, guys, I didn't know who this guy was. I'd heard his name. I didn't know who the hell he was, right? Up until like a week or two ago. I think I even said to you guys, I thought he was Michigan at one point, and you guys went, Minnesota. Thank you, Tiff, for subscribing. He's very good. He's very good. Now, whether the vice presidential pick matters, who knows? I sometimes think the bad vice presidential picks matter. The good ones don't. Right? Sarah Palin was a disaster for John McCain. Thank you, Elizabeth. She, sort of famously, the American comedy shows made fun of her, and there was this one comedian, Tina Fey, who's very famous, American, on Saturday Night Live, which is a comedy show we've had for 50 years here on Saturday nights from New York. And Tina Fey, one of their in-house actresses, comedians, did Sarah Palin, who was John McCain's vice president nominee, and she dressed like her and looked like her and got the accent down. Oh my gosh. But what was most stunning is she would memorize things Sarah Palin said, and her skit that she did on the show was literally just repeating Sarah Palin. She would do 3 to 5 minutes of a Sarah Palin speech. And that's what was most devastating is it was hilarious. You saw how bad it was, but it was also, oh my God, this is her words. Sarah Palin hurt McCain a lot. JD Vance might be hurting Trump. Okay. He's hurt Trump at least in the last 2 weeks since Trump picked JD Vance. The discussion has been about how bad JD Vance is and how He said horrific things about women. He said that women should be forced to bear the children of their rapist and their incest parent or whatever. He criticized women that don't have babies or don't have kids. Another tape came out of him wanting a nationwide abortion ban, banning all abortion in America. Like it did not go well for him. And then the couch thing. And we were talking about this thing. So, Walz made a joke about this, that JD Vance won't get off the couch. What are you saying? Debate me or whatever? There is a story going around, and I'm telling you, it has not been proven yet. People are saying it's proven. It has not been proven. There was a story going around, but the thing is, it's caught fire now. It's gone viral. That JD Vance allegedly wrote in his book, his famous book, that, thank you, Wayne, that he used to, like, when he was single, would have sex by putting a plastic bag between the cushions of a couch and Well, his book does not have it in there. Some people say it's in the original version or the original edit or edition of his book. Thank you, Maddie. But no one's been able to prove that. At this point, if it were in the original version of the book, this is the internet age, guys. We'd have copies of it, right? It would be everywhere. I've not seen copies. That's why, in all fairness, I'm not going to say I believe it yet. Well, latex glove and not a bag. Okay. What matters, though, and Zerpachi just said, it doesn't matter if it's true. That's exactly the point. What matters is the story went viral, and now everyone jokes about JD Vance and couches. And I think I don't know that I can pull them up easily, but I think I told you guys, actually, I can probably do a quick search here. Hang on, because there was, people have now been doing nonstop jokes about him and couches. Now it's funny. I'm looking for couches and I'm pulling up, here, I got a couple of them. I'm pulling up couches at my mom's house. People are doing nonstop jokes about him having sex with couches. It's funny. It's embarrassing. It gets you off topic. Kamala Harris's campaign has tweeted at least once about couches. They said like he couches his hate for women, right? Walz, the VP nominee, just said whatever it was, like he won't get off the couch to debate me, this kind of thing, right? I've got, okay, for example, right? Here's one of them. I just downloaded, I'll show you guys. I just downloaded the couch surfing app. Oops. Oh, that's funny. It put the gift on her face. I just downloaded the couch surfing app, he says. She goes to find a place to stay. And he looks and he doesn't say anything. And she looks at him like, in other words, he downloaded the couch surfing app as pornography. Okay. This one is one of my favorites. The caption is my favorite throuple. It's JD Vance, his wife, sitting on their couch at home. A throuple is a threesome couple. So it's a relationship with three people instead of two. And it's called my favorite throuple, which this is not helpful. This one is probably my favorite because it takes a little thinking. It shows a couch against a white wall. It says, JD Vance pauses the video here. They're talking about pornography and when you're watching porn. And if you're watching porn and you freeze the video at the hottest part in order to, shall we say, enjoy that part of the video, they're saying that while watching pornography, the camera moves and it catches a couch, and that's where JD Vance freezes the video. I mean, guys, it's freaking brilliant. Again, I don't think it's true. I really don't. But it is embarrassing. It gets you off topic. It makes you have to deny it. It just is embarrassing. I'm sorry, Sasha. It's embarrassing. And it gets you off topic, right? So the JD Vance rollout has been very bad. But the reason I got into JD Vance was I believe that bad vice president picks hurt the presidential nominee. I'm not yet convinced that good ones help. They don't hurt. I mean, okay, they help with the grassroots. Like, I would love to see Tim Walz speak, right? That would be fun to me, right? I mean, Tim Kaine, Hillary's guy, I liked it the way he spoke. I would love to have dinner with him, but I didn't necessarily want to go watch him speak. This guy, I would love to watch speak, right? That's different. And I think that. So I think this guy provides energy for the base, which you want. You want energy. You want momentum. You want people excited. When you're excited, you give money. A number of you told me right when it looked like she would be the nominee, right? Biden steps down. A number of people told me during the show, but also in the press, that they got so many donations, but they got a ton of donations from people who did not donate yet this election cycle, meaning these last 2 years they hadn't donated, and they donated for the first time when it looked like she was going to be the nominee. So you've got a lot of, that's what excitement brings. It brings people to vote. It brings people to talk. Like now your friends and family don't hear you say, yeah, Biden, he sucks. I know he shouldn't be president, but we can't have Trump. That's not a good conversation. Now you hear people go, oh my God, I love her. Oh my God, you should see the guy she's got with him. He's so funny. He's so good. I mean, those positive conversations help because they go viral in their own way, viral before the internet. And the virality back then was, do we call them vectors? I forget what we called them. We're basically, or viral vectors, I think we called them at one point, which is I talk about it, you hear about it, you talk about it, someone else hears you talk about it, and it like spreads through the culture with all of us talking. That stuff helps. It helps get people out to vote. It helps get people to donate. It just helps to create an impression of, think about this too. It creates an impression where you guys go, yeah, people really seem very excited about the Democrats. That just is better than, yeah, the Democrats have this old guy that everybody knows is too old, but we can't have the fascist crazy pervert criminal be the president. That's just isn't as exciting as I like her. I like him, right? You get it. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it Walz? Is it Waltz? Does anybody know what the correct pronunciation is of his last name? It's W-A-L-Z. But I've not seen, we're so new in this. Walz? Somebody else I thought said Walz. Okay, that's what, because somebody in my video I think wrote Walz and I was like, Walz. So the Z is pronounced as an S. Okay, I was thinking Waltz almost, right? Okay, so pronounced like Walz, W-A-L-L-S. Okay. I was going to say Kamala's hard enough. Well, that's why I told you Roy Cooper would have been a disaster. Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina. Nobody believed me. I'm right. The governor of North Carolina did an interview like whenever. It's in the local North Carolina press where everyone gets his name wrong. It's not Cooper. It's Cooper. It's the double O in his last name is pronounced like the double O in foot. So we say foot, Cooper, Cooper. So it's Cooper, but it's pronounced Cooper. And I was like, Kamala and Cooper is going to kill me if I've got to pronounce both names correctly. So I'm very glad he's not the nominee just for that reason. I can deal with Walz. Walz I can deal with. So, yes, Walz, we would pronounce those the same way, Solak. Walz as in the wall of your house, and Walz as in W-A-L-Z. Pronouncing the Z is pronounced the same way. Walz. Yep. So the easiest way to say is you pronounce it like Walz, W-A-L-L-S. Because in English, at least, well, the correct pronunciation of English, that less S is pronounced as a Z because our language is very strange. We do have a lot of, it is kind of funny. You think as W-A-L-L-S, you think would be Waltz, right? I mean, you think of all the poor people. I guess anything ending in an S is a Z. Balls, right? Balls. Yeah. I guess it's a Z. Except my last name, Aravosis, is S. So maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, well, she got through a lot of the stuff. He's the current Minnesota governor, former member of Congress, was a high school teacher, football coach, born and raised in Nebraska, rural Nebraska, which is interesting because Nebraska, for anybody who, again, we get a lot of foreigners. I'd say 30% of you tend to be from abroad. Nebraska is a farm state in the middle of the U.S. It's the area of the country called the Midwest. Donald Trump called it the Middle West the other day. That is not an actual place. It's called the Midwest. It's where I'm from. I'm from Illinois, which is another state of the Midwest. There's a number of states: Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Even though North Dakota, South Dakota, I think are a little out there, but they're considered Midwest. And people are very German immigrant area, very much so. Depending where, I don't know about Nebraska, Illinois. It's certainly German immigrant. A lot of Scandinavian immigrants when you get north. Interestingly enough, the accents from like Minnesota, where he's from, to us is almost a little Scandinavian. Like, oh, they kind of have a little bit of an accent like that's not Scandinavian, but it's Canadian. It's a little. It's a little Scandinavian. It's funny, and it must be the influence of the immigrants once upon a time. But anyway, he's from Nebraska, which is a very very farm state, very rural state. A very, I would say the popular perception is Nebraska. They're nice people. They're farm people, right? I mean, even though they're probably not all farm people, but nonetheless, they'd be perceived as very nice, Midwestern, regular, common people, and common in a good way, right? So he was born and raised there, then moved to Minnesota, but all of that makes him very common in a good way. And I say common meaning common folk, right? Like a regular guy, we say in English, like one of the regular normal people, right? He was in the military for 24 years. Americans love that. I had a poll here. I pulled up 9 out of 10 Americans basically think positively, have a favorable view of military veterans. 8 out of 10 Americans have a favorable view of school teachers. He's a school teacher too. So they like that. He is a solid Democrat, pro-choice, pro-kids. But again, Democrat. He got school lunches and school breakfasts with the Democratic legislature for every kid in Minnesota, regardless of income, which was interesting. Republicans didn't like that, but he got school lunches and school breakfast for every kid in the state. Very pro-choice, very pro-gun, but very pro-gun control. Once we had all those horrific, I mean, we've had horrific school shootings for 30 years, but once we had the really bad ones, the Sandy Hook one, I think is the one that got him, which might've been 10 years ago now, something like that. Or 11, 12 years. That's the one that finally got him. And he said, that's it. So now he's been much more in favor of gun control, of trying to find safe ways of making America less violent, which is interesting, but he's very pro-gun. As you heard in the speech, he's pro-Second Amendment, pro-gun. That's interesting because Democrats often are not perceived that way, right? So that's interesting. Just trying to see a little more here. Most Americans don't, 9 out of 10 Americans do not have enough information on him to have an opinion. The same view among Democrats. 9 in 10 Democrats do not know enough about him to have an opinion. That's interesting. So he's still sort of presenting himself to the country. I wanted to read one thing. This was interesting. So, I mean, Trump and everybody is criticizing him. They have to. That's their job, right? There was one Republican who's a Republican election strategist who kind of gave, I think, an honest analysis of this. Thank you, Evgisha. Let me read you this. He said, Mark Campbell is a rare Republican who's publicly praising Harris's choice of Walz, calling it a home run. Campbell, a veteran GOP strategist who managed Glenn Youngkin's winning 2021 Virginia governor's race, Republican in Virginia, ticked through a number of areas he suggests Walz reinforces Harris, first as an authentic surrogate in the northern battleground states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. In other words, the other nearby states he helps with. An enlisted Army veteran, not officer class. I didn't mention that. And again, it doesn't mean as much to me because I don't know the military, but he wasn't an officer. He was enlisted. So he wasn't one of the, highly educated, blah, blah, blah military guys, right? He was one of the working class military guys. He's plain spoken, folksy in a way that will play well in the suburbs and rural areas. He's progressive, so on the left, but not too far from center, and will align with Harris on policy 90% of the time. He called the selection rock steady, which was interesting. Okay, dog is begging for water. You know how this, we're going late tonight, so the dog gets her water. 1 second. It's already 7:15. 1 second, dog. 1 second, you. A little more water. All right. Okay. There you go. All right. Let me see if I got a little more here. Harris campaign says it's raised over $10 million today from grassroots supporters since announcing him. In fact, as of 4 o'clock, they'd raised almost $18 million, which is a lot. Harris last night officially got the nomination. She finally got the number of votes, so she officially is the nominee. She's the first woman of color to lead a major political party in America. And this part I thought was interesting. Harris and Walz, so she and her VP, will tour the 7 battleground states over the next week doing campaign events, including Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Donald Trump has only one event over the next week. That's weird, guys. That's very weird. Something's going on. He's not doing it. He's not doing it because he thinks, right. JD Vance was a disaster. Kamala Harris, I think, was happy to sit back and let JD Vance just get all the bad press, right? She didn't, I mean, she couldn't, but she also didn't want to give her vice president 2 weeks ago because JD Vance needed to blow up in the press and blow up. It is very strange that Trump is doing one event over the next week. There were only 3 months from the election. In America, that's no time at all. In Europe, that's a really long time. In America, our presidential elections go on for 2 years, literally. Kamala Harris is doing 7 states over the next week. That is what you do. You have to have that kind of schedule. Trump is doing one event in the next 7 days. I think there's something wrong with him. Who knows? I will say this. Certainly Democrats ought to suggest there's something wrong with him. I think there actually is. Look, he's 78 years old. He says he got shot. I'm not convinced he got shot. He got shot at. They tried to kill him for sure. Something cut his ear. I'm not convinced it was a bullet. It could have been shrapnel, but it doesn't matter. Trump says he was shot. Okay. He's 78 years old. He never released anything from his doctor. He never released his medical records. The doctors never had a press conference. Nothing. He got some fake doctor on the Hill in the Senate, in the US Congress to write a letter he got his friend in Congress to write him a letter claiming to be his doctor because his real doctor wouldn't do a letter. Why does this matter? Because Trump isn't doing any events in the next week. He's doing one. The only reason you don't do any events in the next week other than one is because you're dead. There really is, or you're dying. There's no excuse to not do events in the next week. Something's going on with Trump. The media is going to let him get away with it. I guarantee you. But there's something going on and it's weird. And again, the fact that Harris is visiting 7 states, that's what you should be doing with 3 months to go. In America, 3 months is nothing. There's something going on with him. And I think if you were hit by a bullet at age 78, I want to know you're not hurt because again, if it was my mother or my father hit by a bullet at 78, I would not accept them going, oh, I know it bled everywhere, but I'm fine. Where's the doctor report? You don't need to see it. I'd be like, okay, mom, what's actually going on? Right? I mean, it's weird. Actually, Inspired Woman just said it's weird. It's weird. Anyway, but I think the Democrats hopefully will be hitting him on this because forget the assassination, but actually the assassination matters. This guy says he was shot. He's 78 years old and was shot and now isn't doing campaign events. It sounds like he's sicker than he's letting on. And by the way, that he's more hurt than he's letting on. Keep in mind, Donald Trump had COVID and didn't tell anybody, right? Trump didn't tell his advisors. He got Chris Christie deathly ill with COVID, who was the governor of New Jersey, Republican, who was helping Trump prepare for the debates. Christie became deathly ill. Trump infected him because Trump didn't tell people he tested positive. This was October of 2020 when everybody was dying. Our cousin's husband died a month after from COVID. Like everybody, you were still in serious danger of dying at this point. Thank you, Inspired. Trump didn't tell Chris Christie. Chris Christie got deathly ill, intensive care unit for a week at the hospital, the place they send you when you're dying. Almost died. Christie to this day hates Donald Trump, hates him because of this. Trump debated Biden, didn't tell Biden that he had COVID, tested positive, went into a small room with Biden, didn't tell him. Biden was 78 at this point, right? I mean, incredibly dangerous. And then Trump almost died from COVID, had to go to the hospital, was literally dying. His blood oxygen was in the 80s. He was dying from COVID. Didn't tell anybody. We didn't find out that Trump was actually dying. He went to the hospital, we knew. We didn't find out that he actually almost died until somebody wrote it in a book later. Okay? There is every reason to believe that if Donald Trump had something physically horribly wrong with him right now after the shooting, he would not tell us. He didn't tell us. Just like with COVID. He didn't tell us. We don't have any idea. We don't have any idea what happened with Trump. Literally. Trump gave some tweets and then had a fake guy on the Hill in the Senate, in the House, representatives write him a letter. His own doctor never says anything. His own doctor never released anything. His doctor's never held a press conference. We've never seen Trump's files. The overall suggestion here is, again, Trump lies about his health. We know that. Trump lies when he's dying. We know that. Is there something wrong with Donald Trump's health? Anyway, I don't think it's ridiculous to ask because, as I said, you don't just stop campaigning for a week. That's insane. With 3 months to go in America, 3 months is nothing. We have 2-year-long presidential races. He's got a new candidate with Kamala Harris. He needs to destroy her. But, oh well. He's quitting. That would be funny. Trump quits too. Now, that would be wild. Trump quit. He can back out. Oh, yeah. He could back out. I mean, Trump backs out and they pick Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley might just win. I mean, I've got issues with her because of supporting Trump too much, but she is a very smart woman. Very good speaker, very strong. I find her a strong person. I mean, I don't like her politics at all, but very strong personality in a good way. I think she would give Kamala Harris, she would have beaten Biden, but she also could give Kamala Harris a real run for her money. And she doesn't have Trump's baggage. She's not a criminal. She's not a felon. She didn't try to overthrow our government violently. She doesn't pander to America's enemies, right? I mean, she doesn't try to steal money from the government. And I mean, it's all the stuff. She doesn't have the negatives Trump has. She's never raped a woman. She's a little flip-flopper, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, my point is not that I would vote for her. She is a much better candidate than Donald Trump. That's for sure. Except that the Republican base loves Trump, so who knows, right? But I still think she could beat him. I don't think Trump's dropping out, but I do think there's something going on with Trump, and that's why he's not doing events for the next week. Something's wrong with him. He's not telling anybody, but something's wrong with him this week. He may just have a bad flu, or he may have, frankly, knowing Trump, he may have COVID again. People do get COVID again. He may have COVID again. Because also, it seems like the people who get COVID are the people who had COVID. Like, I've never knowingly had COVID. I know people who have gotten I've gotten the vaccines. People who got the vaccines and they've had COVID 3 or 4 times. I get the impression that people who get COVID, right? Like, they keep getting it again and again and again. The Ohio, that's true. That's a good point. Serpachi says the Ohio ballot deadline. Yeah. The Ohio ballot deadline is today. No, Thursday, the 8th, I think. Today's the 6th. So the parties have to have their nominees by Thursday in order to get on the ballot. So Trump really can't drop out if they want to be careful, Anyway. Oh, the latest one could go around the vaccine. Yeah, trust me. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I've gotten all my vaccines. I'm happy to, but but again, I could have also had it and not been symptomatic. You never know with COVID, right? But it's been interesting. Like I said, people who've gotten the vaccine that got sick multiple times, although that's rare, and you still likely are getting less sick by having the vaccine. Again, it's Trump's vaccine. I don't want to hear any bullshit about the vaccine. The Trump people love to diss the vaccine, but then they also love to brag that Donald Trump created that vaccine during his administration. Well, which is it? Did Donald Trump get credit for creating the vaccine? Or is the vaccine dangerous and unhelpful? Like, it doesn't work and it's dangerous? Or did Trump create the vaccine and deserves credit? Which one is it? Because if he created a dangerous vaccine, then maybe he shouldn't get credit, right? But they can't quite decide that one. Anyway, okay, I do have some Ukraine updates. Let's try to go fast here because we've been going for an hour and a half already. The show went long, obviously, because Kamala was speaking. I'll give you quick Ukraine updates. Tim Walz, no details on his Ukrainian positions other than he met Zelensky and said very good things, so he's pro-Ukraine. Putin, this was interesting. Reuters reports, Putin asked Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, for a restrained response to Israel's suspected killing of the leader of Hamas in Tehran. Interesting. So even the Russians weighed in and said, watch it. Now, why would Russia do that? Russia doesn't care if Israel blows up, if Tehran blows up Israel. Russia, though, cares if Russia has to get dragged into a war in the Middle East. America doesn't want to get dragged into a war in the Middle East because we don't want to get drawn into a war. Russia doesn't want to get drawn into a war in the Middle East because Russia's fighting a war in Ukraine that isn't going that well. I mean, they occupy 18% of Ukraine, but right now they're stuck. They're like in a stalemate with Ukraine. They're going to be stuck in this war for 5 years at least. Russia cannot afford to have a second war in the Middle East that they're having to supply, right? The Ukrainians, for example, the Ukrainians said the Russians promised them, I forget, was it Su-34s or something, Su-35s, some kind of fighter jets. And the Ukrainians were complaining to the Russians when they visited, when the Russians said, be careful, don't attack Israel too big. And the Ukrainians responded, where are our fighter jets? Well, I think it's going to be a fat chance in hell that Russia provides any fighter jets to Iran anytime soon because Russia needs them for themselves. So I think that's what's going on with Russia. Russia is like desperate to not get involved in a war in the Middle East that could be a war against America in the Middle East when Russia is doing not well. And I may have said Ukrainians by accident, Iranians, that Russia is not doing well in Ukraine. It can't afford a second war. I'm skipping through some of the stuff here. Ukraine launched more drones than Russia in July, according to Zelensky. Oh, so this is interesting too. So I saw this story before. Not the Ukrainians, the Iranians. The Iranians complained to the Russians that they were expecting Russian fighter jets, and Russia has not been providing them, which is funny. And Russia won't be providing them because Russia, I don't think, has the planes. This is an interesting story. I finally got the scoop on this. One of Donald Trump's top aides, Kellyanne Conway, ran his campaign sort of for a while to the end in 2016 successfully, worked for him in the White House for 4 years, and is helping him again now. She's a big lobbyist in Washington. She got hired by a Ukrainian oligarch, rich business guy. And I was trying to figure out what that was. We thought some people were saying he was pro-Russian because some of them are. No, she was hired in order to lobby Trump and the Republicans on behalf of Ukraine. This is actually very good. This is from the Kyiv Independent. And keep in mind, in America, money matters, lobbying matters. The new role of Kellyanne Conway, a former top White House official and advisor to Trump, as a lobbyist to boost support for Ukraine, highlights hopes in Kyiv that the Republican Party's presidential candidate can be swayed to take Ukraine's side. According to a disclosure form shared by the U.S. Justice Department, Conway, Trump's former campaign manager and senior counselor in the White House, was hired at $50,000 per month by Ukrainian oligarch Viktor Pinchuk to, quote, engage U.S. lawmakers, experts, and opinion makers to explain the importance of Ukraine to the rules-based order and the protection of democratic principles. She is also expected to contribute to raising awareness among U.S. decision makers of Ukrainians' fight for freedom and the Russian illegal war of aggression. That last part's perfect. That makes it very clear. This is good. This is helpful. Honestly, the Ukrainians would probably do better just paying off Trump. It's not legal, but that's what works with the man. He came around. Elon Musk is supporting him, and now Trump likes electric cars. Trump hates electric cars. But he even said a couple days ago, I like electric cars now because Elon's supporting me. What else can I do? Like, he literally is admitting it. Trump now is in favor of TikTok. Trump, while he was president, tried 3 times to ban TikTok. 3 times Trump tried to ban TikTok. The court stopped him. Now Trump is in favor of TikTok because a billionaire Republican donor is an investor in the parent company of TikTok, ByteDance. The billionaire donor is an investor. He meets with Trump, and after he meets with Trump, Trump changes his mind and decides he's in favor of TikTok. I guarantee you that donor is contributing to Trump's campaign indirectly, because you can't contribute directly that much money, but you can contribute to super PACs and things like this. I would bet my life on it that that's what's happening. They bribed him. You know, Trump can be bribed. Trump's a felon. He's a convicted felon, 34 felonies. We know he took payoffs in the government, right? We know he made foreign leaders stay at his hotel. He's a criminal. I mean, he is. It's grift. It's graft. He made literally all the foreign leaders would have to stay at his hotel in Washington, D.C. All their people visiting from abroad with governments, the government officials would stay at Trump's hotel, so they were giving Trump their money. They were literally bribing him. And because he was Trump, he got away with it. If it was a Democrat, they'd be in jail, and they should be in jail if a Democrat did that. Trump got away with it because Trump's a crook and gets away with it. In any case, a little bit more here. Here's the last little story I had. Russia's fourth dam has burst in 2 weeks. A dam burst in the town of Dalnerenchisk in the far east of Russia overnight on August 6th. This marks the 4th such case in 2 weeks. Okay, it could be a coincidence that Russian dams keep exploding. It also could be Ukraine blowing them up, or Russian rebels blowing them up. I have a very hard time believing that 4 dams blew up in Russia accidentally. Keep in mind, Russia blew up a Ukrainian dam that caused massive damage, killed a lot of people, massive damage. If you're Ukraine, it's a war crime to blow up dams. Yes, it is. It's illegal. But if I'm Ukraine, would I do it? Probably yes. To get even, especially if you can hide it. 4 dams blowing up in 2 weeks is not a coincidence. Even with the Russians being so bad at maintenance and engineering and everything else, there's no way. There's no way. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit. It's been an hour and a half, although the first 45 minutes we didn't talk too much because I was watching the show. The Iran thing hurting U.S. troops is very bad, AJ. It looks like Iranian surrogates attacked we know they did, attacked an American military base in Iraq, injured several U.S. troops. somebody's got to stand up to them. I mean, we don't want to get into a war either with Iran, but honestly, we would kick Iran's ass if we got into a war. Iran should be more. This is where being a super, like Russia knows how to fight above its weight grade or whatever it's called, its weight class. Like basically, it's an expression meaning Russia gets away with shit because it acts bigger than it is and everyone gets scared. We have nuclear weapons and everybody goes, oh my God. As an American, I don't give a damn that Russia has nuclear weapons because I've got nuclear weapons. I couldn't care less. Russia's not using their nuclear weapons against us. We would literally blow them off the planet. I have zero fear of Russia's nuclear weapons. I don't want a nuclear war. Punched above their weight. There we go. Thank you, Gunnerman. But Russia's very good at that. We suck at it. Like even with Russia, we don't sit there and go, well, we've got nuclear weapons too. No shit, Boris. We've got nukes too. Shut up. Just shut up already, right? The Russians are very good at that. With the Iranians, sadly, I don't think we stand up to them enough. I think we ought to make clear to the Iranians, we can wipe you off the face of the earth. And if you keep doing it, we may not wipe you off the face of the earth, but we will bomb you severely. And we're not afraid. We ought to say we're not afraid of a war in the Middle East. We don't want a war in the Middle East, but I got news for you. We're a lot bigger than you are, Iran, and we'll destroy you if it comes to it. And good luck holding on to power once we've destroyed every military base in your country and all the secret police holding your country together and the people start protesting again, right? We don't do that, and we should. We should. It's kind of bullshit. We let the Iranians, and it's like the Russians. My nose is itching, my allergies. We let the Iranians and the Russians get away with literal murder, and we shouldn't. We should be standing up to them more. Anyway, what else? Damn Russian dams, exactly. Yeah, there was some story recently about the Ukrainians had a plan to blow up a bunch of Russian jets, and the Americans stepped in and said, no, don't do it. It would be provocative. It would be escalation. So we stopped the Ukrainians from doing it. I think it was probably in Crimea. I think at an airbase, I thought I read. It's really just, no, we're so afraid of them. And honestly, you don't stop wars by being afraid of the enemy. You stop wars by standing up to the enemy. If you show fear, the enemy does more and more and more, Kamala would be more hawkish. I don't know. I really don't know where she is on defense stuff. I really don't. I'd be curious to see what her foreign policy opinions were when she was running for president last time, because now, she's been Biden's vice president for 4 years. Vice presidents are not allowed to give their opinion on anything. They've got to toe the party line. Therefore, except they work for the president. They can't disagree with him. She's in a similar position now. She's running for president. She has to tell people what she would do different than Biden, especially since people aren't happy with Biden. But at the same time, she's part of Biden's administration and she's kind of responsible for it. So she can't say he's done a terrible job on the Middle East because she's part of it, right? And he's still her boss. She can't say he's done a terrible job. That's also weird. But then how can she say what she would do differently? Because by saying I'm going to do something differently, it means we're not doing it now, right? So how can she say she's going to do Ukraine differently or the Middle East differently or whatever? Because then they'd say, well, so you disagree with Biden. You think he's doing a bad job. So I'm not convinced. I wonder to what degree she's going to try to talk about proposals she wants to do. Let's see how I'm not sure. She can't disagree with Biden a ton is the problem. It's a problem. She could talk about things like education, specific programs she wants to do that Biden hasn't done, which are fine because it doesn't mean he hasn't done it. It just means, she has her own proposal she'd like to do, yeah. I don't know that we could beat them. I mean, when you say, could we beat the Middle East, AJ, that's a different question. I think we could blow the crap out of Iran. But, what is war in the Middle East? Israel is in a war in the Middle East. They've injured Hamas a lot, but I was watching a broadcast yesterday about this. A lot of Hamas's, bases and things are back. They're been reconstituted. Right? Israel's killed a lot of civilians and still has had a hard, because let's not forget, Hamas is hiding among civilians on purpose. They're trying to get their own civilians killed. Israel's been hitting Hamas anyway and killing a lot of civilians, and they still haven't been able to destroy Hamas. So, it depends. I think it's easier to destroy a country than it is a terrorist group. Hamas is a terrorist group. They literally hide underground. They hide under civilians. Iran's got you can't hide a military base. Iran's got military bases we can blow up. They've got government ministries we can blow up. We can blow up their Ministry of Defense. I mean, there's a lot of damage we can cause. I don't know what it would take to degrade Iran. Well, look, we could blow the crap out of Iran. I mean, we could, but the problem is what would, again, it depends how you define winning. Would Iran unleash terrorism across Europe? Probably, right? I mean, it gets complicated. Then again, if they do that, then they get to face the French military and the British military too. Good luck with that. So I think we do not want war with Iran. It would be very bad and very dangerous. But at the same time, we do have a lot of weapons and could cause Iran a lot of pain and possible instability, because then, as we said, people could rise up, and guess what? The secret police would be blown up. The military would be blown up. How do you organize them when literally the central office is on fire and all the phone lines are on fire? What else? What else? Yeah, I saw something about it. I didn't know about Iran hitting inside of Russia. I thought I grabbed it. Not Iran, Ukraine. I thought I grabbed it today. Hold on. I thought I grabbed this story. Did I miss it? Hang on a second. Yes, the crowdsourced monitoring website Deep State shared pictures on August 6th appearing to show a downed Russian Ka-52 attack helicopter and 2 destroyed tanks amid reports of a cross-border incursion into Kursk Oblast. So reports of Ukrainian troops entering Russia and taking down a helicopter and, what did it say, some tanks as well. So, who knows? Oh, sorry guys, I'm tired. That's the other issue, which Johnny Appleseed just said, which is who takes over if you take out the Iranian government. You've always got to worry about that. Iranian government deserves to be taken out, frankly, but I'm less worried about the morality of it than I am who replaces them, right? You always, whenever you take out a government, take out a leader, it's one of the things you learn. Sorry, my allergies going nuts. It's one of the things you learn when studying international relations, which I did in graduate school, that at Georgetown, if you're going, and again, it sounds crass, but let's talk about it. If you're going to assassinate the leader of a country and take him out, you better know who's coming next. You better know what's coming next. You better know it's not going to get worse. You better know the country's not going to fall apart. Part of the concern of taking out Saddam Hussein in Iraq was Iraq falling apart. That he was holding 3 parts of the country together: Sunni, Shia, and Kurd, and that Iraq could literally split into 3 countries, and there'd be chaos. And Iran would grab part of it and like this kind of stuff. You want to be the Soviet Union, right? We were glad the Soviet Union just disappeared, but there was real concern about with the Soviet Union disappearing in 1991. They had nuclear weapons. Would a civil war break out? Would the Soviets go to war with the Ukrainians and the Belarusians to get their nukes back, right? The Russians had nukes. The Ukrainians had nukes. Ukraine became an independent country that inherited Russia's nukes. Would the Russians invade and try to get the nukes? Would the Ukrainians try to figure out a way to use the nukes? Supposedly they couldn't use them, but could they find a way, right? That's the stuff you worry about. We're all happy the Soviet Union went away, and I'd be happy if Russia went away, frankly. But Russia has nukes, and you want to be sure that there isn't some dangerous civil war that's going to break out with nuclear weapons, right? So yes, that is always something to worry about. Let's do like one more question or comment and then call it quits. I know we haven't been talking as much because we were watching Kamala, but still, that was still, an hour, or that was still 45 minutes. So I'm feeling tired here, guys. That's not a bad idea, Gregory says. Oh, hold on. I don't know whether they do this early. Gregory says Kamala Harris could maybe talk about who she'd want in her cabinet, her advisors for foreign policy, and military advisors to give us a clue about her views. That's an interesting question. I don't know whether that stuff happens early on. I don't know. I'm not sure they give that impression early on. I don't remember, but I have to think about it. I'm not convinced. Like Pete Buttigieg, we were glad, but I don't know that we knew Pete Buttigieg. Thank you, Johnny, for subscribing. I don't know that we knew Pete Buttigieg was going to get in the cabinet. I think we thought he would. We thought he might. He'd be really good. He's very good speaker, blah, blah, blah. but I don't know that I don't know whether it's normal to give a sense before you get in there and say this would be. Now, you could. Now, it's not a crazy idea. If you're Kamala Harris and you've only got 3 months to the election, right? A very small period of time in America to introduce yourselves, maybe you do start talking about your cabinet. Maybe you do start saying, I'd have this person do this person do this. Now, the danger there is every new person you mention is a new person the Republicans can investigate and say, aha, she said she would pick this person at the Department of Education. Did you know that person had an affair? That person did this, that person did that. Like you open it up to more criticism potentially. So that's the risk. That's the risk of that. I don't think she would. I'm not convinced she'd keep any cabinet officers necessarily. I think Pete Buttigieg will get moved somewhere else potentially. He could be United. I think he's going to get United Nations ambassador or Secretary of State. That's my guess for Buttigieg. I think he will. I'm convinced he's going to get one of those. But for everybody else, I'm not sure anybody is going to stay. Like he makes sense because he's really up and coming in the party. He's an incredible speaker. Although when you're a cabinet secretary, you don't do a lot of speaking, necessarily. But I think she wants to sort of solidify his support and keep him on the inside. Although he's not going to run against her, right? If she's president, when you're president, people tend not to run against you from your own party. But I don't know about the other ones. I don't. Thank you, Timothy. All right, guys. Yeah, Merrick Garland. She could get rid of Merrick Garland. That's true. All right, guys. Let's call it quits. All right. I'm going to do a show tomorrow evening, of course, as always. Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock. Sorry, Tom, about subscribing. No, at TikTok. God knows why. It's maybe go to YouTube if you don't mind being on YouTube. A different crowd. Not as exciting. YouTube is normal. TikTok's a little crazy. But I'll be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Eastern time US, where we do the show every night, Monday to Friday. And tomorrow, late morning or so, I will probably do another show updating on just what's going on with Walz and everything. I know I got to get the auction items up, and I haven't mailed out I've got to mail out the old auction items. I've been really recalcitrant on the auctions. I'm sorry. Although Vlad is sending a number of he just sent me a picture. We're getting a number of very cool new auction items. Let me see real quick. From Ukraine, from Vlad. Oops, hold on here. Where is this? I don't even know if you'd be able to see them, but they should be coming in the next month. But, that's kind of cool, actually. Oh, that's cool. There's a box of painted like artillery shells, but painted like the ones in the middle. And there's a Ukrainian. Oh, it's a painting of the what's it called? Motanka or whatever. And then some artillery shells, or what look like artillery shells painted in the middle there below. We're getting also we got a number of I asked him to get me a number of the fake, the knockoff Legos. So these are the knockoff Legos. They are, among other things, I can see at the top, a Bayraktar and a HIMARS. I asked him as well to get a second HIMARS, I think, an Abrams tank, and maybe a Bradley fighting vehicle. I think those are the things I wanted. Some more sort of painted military objects that are very cool. Local artist, you guys having a harder time seeing it there. Anyway, a lot of cool military stuff. Oh, that's interesting. What is this? Naval drone kamikaze. I think it's a wooden kit. Oh, it's a wooden kit for a number of things. It's the Bayraktar on the bottom to make like a wood. You guys can't, I'll try to go a little lower. The Bayraktar at the bottom. It's kamikaze drones at a naval kamikaze drone here, but Ukrainian version. Oh, naval kamikaze drone means, that's the what's it called? That's the boat drone that the Ukrainians created. That's what it is. Ooh. And then the Neptune, what was the Neptune? Oh, the Neptune's the missile system, the missile that took out the Moscow. Anyway, we've got lots of cool stuff. And a Ukrainian F-16. I think it's an F-16. But it's a Ukrainian F-16 as well. And that's one of those Lego kits. So we've got a lot of cool stuff coming. Sea Baby, that's what it's called. You're right, Sea Baby. But yes, I've been very bad. I swear to God, I'm going to get the auction items mailed out this week. I'm sorry. I've been like very bad about that. And get the new ones up because it's stupid for me not to put them up. But we do have cool stuff coming, which is good. So that'll be nice. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'm going to bed. I'm not going to bed. I'm going to go chill out, watch some TV. pop an allergy pill because I'm itching. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I will do another show for the paid subscribers during the day tomorrow for sure. And then I will do my regular show we always do for everybody else, 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock Eastern time. That's Washington, D.C. time, New York City time. So look for me then, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining me. It just kind of worked out, I guess, having Kamala go live when we were speaking, but why not? We did a watch party, so what the hell. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you. And you on TikTok?